Welcome to Steph's Case Files. Truth Be Told, a true crime podcast. The podcast where we break down the unsolved, suspicious, and the cases that leave behind more questions than answers. Today we're headed to a quiet town in Pennsylvania where a young woman named Katlyn Harp vanished without a trace. What started as a missing person case quickly spiraled into something far darker. And by the time her body was discovered, locked inside a green metal box, this entire community would be shaken to its core. So, what happened to Katlyn Harp? Let's find out. Katlyn Harp was a 33-year-old woman living in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. On June the 29th, her body was officially identified by the Columbia County coroner after being found in a wooded area off Harp Lane. Her husband, Vincent Harp, has since been charged with criminal homicide. But the story that led to his arrest is complicated. It's a web of inconsistencies, suspicious behavior, and a history of domestic violence. And it all begins the night Katlyn disappeared. She was last seen on the night of June the 19th at her home on Fairview Drive in Hemlock Township. Vincent Harp told police that they had a minor disagreement, and he said it was over Snapchat messages Katlyn was receiving from other men. He claimed it wasn't heated or physical, just the conversation. Then they ate dinner, smoked cigarettes on the balcony, and he said everything seemed fine. Katlyn's family tells a different story. Her sister, Heather Lane, was immediately alarmed. Katlyn's phone had gone silent. Her Life 360 tracking app stopped updating around 7:37 p.m., and she didn't respond to any messages. That was completely out of character. Katlyn never went anywhere without her phone or her car, and she was always in contact with her family, even during arguments. The last confirmed message Katlyn sent to Heather was around 6:45 p.m. on the 19th. The last confirmed message Katlyn sent to Heather was around 6:45 p.m. on June the 19th, 2025. But Vincent claimed he got a text from her at 3:58 a.m. the next morning when she said she needed space, was with a friend, and would return in a couple of days. Heather didn't buy it. She said the message didn't sound like Katlyn. The typing was off. Katlyn had a distinctive style, and to make it worse, the message didn't even show up in the Verizon log, something Vincent later confirmed himself after a visit to the store. Heather said in the moment that she saw that screenshot, she knew something was wrong. She knew her sister was gone. When Vincent first went to the Hemlock Township Police, he said that they told him a missing person report couldn't be filed right away, simply because Katlyn was an adult. But her family also went to the police, and soon after, the case was posted to the department's Facebook page. A press release followed. But the family wasn't waiting on the system. Heather and relatives immediately started searching the area near the Harp home, looking not just for signs of life but for a body. Heather later said, quote, "I don't feel her soul anymore." On June the 29th, 2025, Katlyn's remains were recovered. She was found locked inside a metal box, deep in a wooded area on a property formerly owned by Vincent Harp. In the days before her body was found, Vincent claimed to be fully cooperating. He said he turned over his phone and two of his vehicles to authorities. But even as he was saying that, he was also selling property. Just days after Katlyn disappeared, Vincent sold a Harley Davidson, a car, and a side by side ATV. He said it was to raise money for a $50,000 reward. But police later confiscated the side by side, suggesting that they believed it could be connected to the crime. Caitlin's sister said it felt like he was trying to cover his tracks, and he even told buyers he was planning to leave the state. Then came the surveillance footage. Vincent was seen on camera in Bloomsburg and Middleburg on June the 20th, 2025, driving a Chevrolet Silverado. In the bed of that truck, a large green metal box. That same box would later be found in the woods, locked, decomposing, with Caitlin's body inside. Vincent's phone data also placed him in the area near the dump site the following day. Investigators believe he may have returned to the location after the fact, possibly to check on where he left her. One detail that stuck out happened at a Sunoco gas station in Danville on June the 20th. Vincent walks in and asks the clerk, "Do you sell winter gloves?" In the middle of summer? Of course, the gas station responds and says no. Then he leaves. And again, he's caught on video driving the truck with the green box in the back. As for his story, it changed constantly. First, he said he had his phone with him the morning after Katlyn vanished. Then, he said he left it at the office. He claimed he texted her, but couldn't explain why there were no replies. He claimed that she had left before after arguments, but her family says she always stayed in touch, always came home after those arguments, always posted online. Not this time. After Katlyn was found, Vincent Harp was arrested and charged with criminal homicide, abuse of a corpse, tampering with evidence. He was denied bail and remains in custody. His preliminary hearing is scheduled for Monday, July the 14th, 2025 at 11 a.m. before Judge Doug D. Brewer. But let's be clear. This wasn't Vince Harp's first run-in with the law. His criminal record goes back almost 2 decades and includes charges like harassment, assault, theft, check fraud, speeding violations, hunting violations, you name it. And while he was never convicted of assault, 2 separate women filed charges against him over the years. And one of those women was Katlyn. Twin sister Heather said that Vincent had assaulted her before. He had beaten her, broken her ribs, and pepper sprayed her. Katlyn had marks and bruises documented by a counselor a year prior. Heather even sent those photos to police in case anything ever happened to her. And tragically, it did. Katlyn wasn't the only woman in Vincent Harp's life to die young. His first wife, Stephanie, died from what was ruled an overdose, but her death has raised questions too. Heather believes Stephanie's death wasn't an accident. She claims Vincent delayed calling 911 for up to 30 minutes and only got help after his sister called the police. Stephanie was already gray by the time responders arrived. And now here we are with another young woman gone after telling family that she was scared. Hours of June the 19th, 2025 will never exactly be known. But here's what we do know. The initial hours following Caitlin's disappearance were marked by a chilling anomaly. Live 360 location tracking abruptly stopped updating, and her phone was turned off at precisely 7:37 p.m. on June the 19th, 2025. This sudden digital silence immediately alarmed her sister, Heather Lane, who knew her behavior was entirely out of character for Katlyn. Heather, a twin, understood her sister's communication patterns intimately. The longest Katlyn had ever gone without speaking to Heather was a day and a half. And even then, Katlyn was still active on social media. This time, there was nothing. No post, no replies, just silence. Compounding the family's dread was a text message supposedly sent from Katlyn's phone to her husband, Vincent Harp, at approximately 3:58 a.m. on Friday, June the 20th, 2025. The message stated that she needed some space, was with a friend, and would return in a couple of days. However, Heather immediately suspected something amiss, noting that the typing style did not look like Katlyn's, and, crucially, the text was not even showing in the Verizon log. This detail strongly suggested that the message was a fabrication, sent after Katlyn's phone was already off, and was a key red flag that raised profound doubts about Vincent's account. Heather reported her sister missing to the local Hemlock Township police on June the 20th. Initially, the police had believed that Katlyn had left on her own, possibly turning her phone off voluntarily, and saw no immediate signs of foul play. Hemlock Township Police Chief Mike Van Dyne, when later questioned, could not confirm if Vincent Harp or another relative reported Katlyn missing. He stated that the department did a post of a missing person on their Facebook page on Saturday and released a press release on Sunday. Despite the initial police reluctance to suspect foul play, Katlyn's family refused to accept that she had simply walked away. They sprang into action, organizing their own search efforts and reaching out to the community for help. Heather Lane posted updates on Facebook offering a $3,000 reward for Katlyn's safe return or any information regarding her whereabouts. This reward was later increased with Vincent Harp claiming to sell his Harley Davidson motorcycle, a sports car, and a side by side all terrain vehicle to raise funds toward a $50,000 reward. It seemed outlandish. As the investigation escalated, all eyes turned toward Katlyn's husband, Vincent Lloyd Harp, a 39-year-old man from Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. On the outside, Vinny publicly insisted his full cooperation with law enforcement, claiming he, too, was desperate to find answers about his wife's whereabouts. He stated that he had provided his phone and two vehicles to authorities for inspection. He even offered his own account of the events leading up to Katlyn's disappearance. He claimed their argument on Thursday evening, June the 19th, was not physical, but rather stemmed from his discovery of Katlyn receiving Snapchat messages from other men. He recounted that Katlyn had just gotten out of the shower when he asked her about the messages, to which she replied that they were just friends from Lewistown. He described the conversation as calm, not like a heated argument, not like screaming or hollering or nothing like that, and stated that they later ate dinner together and believed that everything was okay. According to Vincent Harp, around 7:30 p.m., Katlyn disappeared for a moment while they were smoking cigarettes outside, and he assumed that she had gone for a walk to clear her head. He claimed this was around the time of Katlyn's location tracking app that last registered her phone's location. He then stated that he went to bed and awoke around midnight to find Katlyn on the balcony smoking another cigarette. He joined her. They spoke briefly, and he went back to sleep. The next morning, Friday, he claimed he woke up to the text messages from Katlyn saying she needed space and was with a friend. Vincent stated that he was surprised by the text saying, quote, I was like, quote, what the F is this? Unquote. However, he initially dismissed it, stating his wife had, quote, disappeared before, unquote. Vincent also provided an explanation for why he was covered in mud when he returned home on Friday. He claimed that he had driven to Middleburg early that morning, suspecting Katlyn may have gone to her ex husband's home there. You will remember the video if you saw it online. He literally had people pull him out of the mud and had someone video it. Why? Now we know. He said his pickup truck got stuck in the mud on a rural road, but that narrative quickly began to unravel as Katlyn's sister Heather presented conflicting information. Heather stated that family members believed Vincent was slated to receive medical treatment on Friday morning but never showed up, and that no one could get a hold of him. She pointed out the extreme inconsistency in his story, noting that he had changed his story many times, according to her. Vincent, in response, simply stated that Heather had the events wrong. A critical element that drew significant suspicion to Vincent was his extreme criminal history, which dates back to 2006 and includes numerous convictions. The sources detailed a troubling pattern of behavior, outlining multiple charges against him. These include voting without a certificate of boating safety education in 2024, harassment specifically subject to other physical contact. Harassment specifically subject to other physical contact happened in 2018, which stemmed from a case where he was also charged with dissentiment, intimate communication in 2022. Multiple traffic violations, such as exceeding the speed limit in 23 and 25 respectively, both resulting in guilty pleas. Retail theft in 2024, a misdemeanor, for which bail was set at $5,000 unsecured. Operating a vehicle without a valid inspection in 2022, resulting in a guilty plea. Disregarding a traffic lane in 2022, also a guilty plea. Disregarding a traffic lane in 2022, also a guilty plea. Failure to fail to notice police in 2024, guilty. Unlawful shooting on or across a highway in 2021, guilty. Hunting without securing a license and taking or possessing game or wildlife illegally in 2021, both guilty. While these charges make him a wild human being, it doesn't make him a killer. But let's continue. While Vincent acknowledged his involvement in domestic violence cases, he maintained that he just put himself in a bad position with women and was never convicted of assault, denying ever having beat no women, quote unquote. However, articles from the Press Enterprise indicate that police had previously charged him with simple assault against two separate women in the last decade. Though none of these charges were from disputes with Katlyn Harp, he did plead guilty to a harassment citation in one case, according to online court records. Despite Vincent's denials, Katlyn's sister, Heather Lane, shared a much darker picture of the relationship, aligning a history of severe domestic abuse. Heather claimed that Vincent had beat her. He had pepper sprayed her, broke her ribs, all during their 3-year relationship. She also recounted an instance where Vincent and his brother, Curtis Harp, allegedly pulled Katlyn out of the house by her hair. Katlyn's counselor had even sent Heather photos of marks and bruises on Katlyn, as well as pictures of Vincent all fucked up on whippets, quote unquote, providing a crucial evidence in the case if anything were to happen to Katlyn. These allegations painted a stark contrast to Vincent's public claims of innocence and cooperation. Agonizing search for Katlyn Harp culminated in tragedy on Sunday, June the 29th, 2025. The Columbia County coroner confirmed that the body was discovered earlier that day in a wooded area off Harp Lane in Montour Township and that it belonged to 33-year-old Katlyn Harp. The property where her remains were found, approximately 38 acres of forested land, had previously belonged to Vincent Harp but was sold in 2023. The discovery was made by a group of civilians, including Katlyn's sister, Heather Lane. Heather, who had relentlessly searched for her sister, posted on Facebook, quote, "We found her." Emphasize the we, unquote. The authorities, already at the scene after being alerted by the search party, confirmed Katlyn's death at 3:30 p.m. She was identified through one of her tattoos. Evidence and observations at the scene indicated apparent homicide, although the exact cause and manner of death are still pending with an autopsy. The autopsy that happened on June the 30th, 2025. Chillingly, Caitlin's remains were found concealed in a metal box in the woods, a box described as being just like that one that Vincent Harp kept in the back of his pickup truck. This detail immediately pointed suspicion directly at the husband. Vincent Lloyd Harp was taken into custody on the same day Caitlin's body was recovered. He was subsequently charged with criminal homicide, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with, fabricating physical evidence. Bail was denied, and he is currently being held in the Columbia County Correctional Facility. A preliminary hearing for Vincent Harp has been set for Monday, July the 14th at 11 a.m. in front of a judge. This arrest was the result of a determined and intense investigation conducted by the Pennsylvania State Police Trooper and Major Case Team, working in conjunction with the Columbia State District Attorney's Office. State police thanked the public for their tips, which poured in through social media and 911. The discovery of Caitlin's body and Vincent's subsequent arrest brought a tragic end to the missing person case. Coroner Jimmy Reese extended his condolences to Caitlin's family and thanked PSP Bloomsburg and the Buckhorn Fire Department for their assistance in the recovery. The intense investigation into Katlyn Harp's disappearance and death utilized a wide array of resources, underscoring the severity of the case. The Pennsylvania State Police deployed PSP aviation, canine units, drones, and ATVs, and even their special emergency response team in the search. Heather Lane mentioned that helicopters and dogs were also involved in searching in the area where Vincent's truck was reportedly stuck. Key evidence and inconsistencies in Vincent Harp's statements rapidly mounted against him. State troopers observed that Vincent Harp's story was inconsistent and that he changed the details of his movements before, during, and after Caitlin's disappearance. For instance, his initial claim to police that Caitlin was seen at 9 p.m. contradicted his later account to a reporter, where he mentioned waking up at midnight and smoking a cigarette with her on the balcony. Well, let's talk about the cell phone location data. Investigators looked into his cell phone location, which proved crucial. It revealed that on the morning on June the 20th, he traveled roughly an hour west to a mountain road near Middleburg. This matched surveillance camera footage that showed his SUV in the area during the times indicated by his data. Before returning to that mountain road later in the day, his cell phone data showed that he made a stop at a gas station in Danville where he purchased a pair of gloves, as mentioned prior. Then on June the 21st, his phone was located in the area of Harp Lane, the very property where Katlyn's body was found days later. Heather Lane had also stated that police were following pins from his records and that he did pin where his truck got stuck, leading her to believe he might not have even taken his phone with him in that specific vehicle, possibly identifying a decoy. Let's talk about the evidence of blood. Forensic work conducted by investigators reportedly found that they believe human blood to be on a UTV that Harp sold in the days following his wife's disappearance. Vincent himself acknowledged that the police claimed they could see dried blood in a car he provided them for inspection, though he dismissed this, stating, I think they're full of shit. And then, on Tuesday the 24th, he tried to sell a Harley Davidson motorcycle, a sports car, and a side by side, all in claims for money. Netherlands' private investigator friend sent her photos of the items that Vincent was listing for sale online. And then that's when they started raising eyebrows. But let's talk about lying to that counselor. Remember, he claimed that he was on counseling Friday, June the 20th, when he returned home covered in mud. How do you exactly get mud on your vehicle by going to a counselor? That was later confirmed to be a lie. Caitlin's family knew that both Vincent and Katlyn were attending a methadone clinic and that Katlyn usually went to counseling, but she wasn't there that day, and neither was Vince. Vincent's father reportedly told Brittany, Vincent's sister, who was also best friends with Katlyn and Heather, that Vincent had left the shop that morning claiming to go to counseling, which Brittany then relayed to the police. This confirmation that Vincent was not where he said he was when he returned muddy became a key piece of evidence, leading the district attorney to sign the case over to the Pennsylvania State Police. Vincent Harp's properties were also a focus of the investigation. While he told police that only 4 acres of land behind his house were his, the body was found on a nearly 40-acre plot of land just off Harp Lane that he formerly owned until October 2023. Heather Lane noted that Vincent owns so many properties, it would be hard to know if he put her on one of his properties, but we later would find out that not exactly his property, but connected to him. Controversial claim emerged during the conversation with Heather Lane. The suggestion that Vincent Harp might be a police informant, potentially receiving $10,000 a month from local police. This particular piece of information was mentioned as being confirmed by a private investigator through mutual friends, but is not confirmed by the police themselves. If it is true, this potentially could explain why Caitlin's family felt that the local police were initially reluctant to act and why Vincent seemed to get away with everything. Heather believed that the local police were involved and that they were protecting and serving their own agenda rather than protecting and serving the community. The police also confiscated Vince's phone and vehicles for examination. However, Vincent claimed that when he was interviewed by state police from 10 p.m. until 4 a.m. on Sunday, quote, they never read him his Miranda rights, unquote. This claim, if accurate, could complicate future legal proceedings, but it comes from Vincent himself and the provided sources. The investigation also considered other vehicles. Mediums, psychics reportedly told Caitlin's family that a dark colored vehicle, specifically a black Denali, was relevant to the case. Heather stated that Vincent still owned a black Denali and assumed the police might have already confiscated it. The family wondered if the truck Vincent claimed got stuck was a decoy and if really another vehicle was involved. Remember his first wife, Stephanie? The tragic death of Katlyn also brought to light the shadow of Vincent Harp's past relationships, particularly the tragic and mysterious death of his first wife, Stephanie Downs. Officially, her death was ruled an overdose. However, Katlyn's sister, Heather Lane, shared a profound personal belief. No, no, I don't, she said. I don't believe Stephanie's death was really an accident. Let's talk about Stephanie Downs. In June of 2011, Stephanie Downs, 24, was found by her mother unconscious in a bathroom with a syringe, leading to charges of a heroin overdose and possession of drug paraphernalia. In June of 2013, Stephanie Downs, 26 at the time, was found bent over a bathroom sink after an overdose in a friend's home. Police found a syringe, an empty pack of heroin, and an unopened bag of unknown drug, which resulted in multiple counts of possession charges. Same year, she entered a plea agreement for the charges in Columbia County. So it is true. Stephanie had a history of drug use. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's how she died. Despite the official ruling of overdose for Vincent's first wife, the sources indicate that her former partner, who shared a child with her, came forward in an account of the events surrounding her passing, raising disturbing questions. This further fueled public suspicion and added a layer of unease into the investigation of Katlyn's death. Heather Lane also spoke of a second wife of Vincent, named Mallory, Mal, who had left him due to a domestic violence situation. Heather claimed that Mal had shown Katlyn messages where she wishes Katlyn was dead, and that Mal treated Katlyn the same way she had treated Stephanie, Vincent's first wife. A significant red flag for the family was that when police tried to search Mal's property, she denied them access to search, even though neighboring properties were cooperative. This refusal, especially from someone who had allegedly experienced domestic violence from Vincent, struck Katlyn's family as highly suspicious. Heather also recounted a past incident where Katlyn herself had overdosed and Vincent had allegedly delayed calling for help. This pattern of behavior, coupled by the history of abuse, painted a disturbing picture of Vincent Harp's character and the interactions within his relationships. Stephanie's death still remains as categorized as an official overdose. Will it be looked into? Will they take a second look at the surroundings? That she was there for 2 days before anyone found her? I hope so. The disappearance and death of Katlyn Harp have deeply impacted the Bloomsburg community. It's left residents on edge and prompting an outpouring of support for her grieving family. The tragedy has ignited a broader, crucial conversation about domestic violence, the intricate complexities of relationships, and the immense challenges faced by individuals in abusive environments. Caitlin's story serves as a stark reminder of the urgent need to recognize the subtle and overt sides of abuse and to provide comprehensive resources and unwavering support for those who may have been silently suffering. It underscores the critical importance of ensuring that individuals trapped in an abusive relationship have accessible pathways to help, enabling them to escape dangerous situations before it is too late. Heather, Caitlin's sister, has become a powerful advocate, using her voice to share her sister's story and push for justice. She emphasizes the profound importance of families being their own advocates, continuously asking questions and pushing for answers when loved ones go missing or when foul play is suspected. The Columbia County Coroner, Jeremy Reese, has extended profound condolences to Katlyn's family, acknowledging their immense loss. Pennsylvania State Police have affirmed their commitment to the case, treating it as a priority and assuring the public that they are exerting every effort to find all answers and ensure where justice should prevail. Investigators are reviewing every piece of available evidence, including Katlyn's personal belongings, her communications, and all interactions to those closest to her. Surveillance footage from the area surrounding her home is also being carefully scrutinized to reconstruct the timeline for her disappearance. Law enforcement officials continue to urge anyone with information about Katlyn's disappearance or any details that could help the ongoing investigation to come forward. This could include, most importantly, surveillance and video footage. The public is implored to remain vigilant and report any suspicious activity that might contribute to the search for the truth. Multiple channels have been established for individuals to submit tips online, recognizing that public assistance is absolutely crucial in bringing clarity and closure to this difficult case. For those with information, you are encouraged to contact the Pennsylvania State Police at 570-387-4701 or the Crime Stoppers toll-free hotline at 1-800-472-8477. These tips can also be submitted online for those who prefer to remain anonymous. Katlyn's family and friends continue to grapple with the unbearable pain that knowing the full truth and tirelessly seeking justice will be forever a part of their life. Their unwavering hope is that with time, all answers will emerge and the truth will ultimately bring some measure of peace. They remain steadfast in their determination to honor Katlyn's memory and the love and light she brought into their lives. The community watches, hoping that the legal process will deliver accountability for the tragic loss of Katlyn Harp. The celebration of life will take place at 1 p.m. on Tuesday, July the 8th, 2025, at the Granville Fire Company Event Center for Katlyn Harp. Arrangements are under the care of Heller Holstein Funeral Home in Lewistown. Katlyn Harp deserves justice, just like all domestic violence victims all across the world. Tune in next time for more true crime stories. Steph's Case Files, Truth Be Told, a true crime podcast.
My memory's terrible, but I can promise you I'll never forget you, my love. I can't recall what I had for breakfast or the name of the film we saw last night. A million things I'll forget, but one thing I know, I'll never forget you, my love. I'm just saying I'll keep getting older. There's endless things that'll slip my mind. There's no doubt I'll forget the words of this song, but I'll never forget you, my love. I have to write down grocery lists and birthdays. My calendar's becoming my best friend. Don't believe that I don't care. You can rest assured I'll never forget you, my love. I'm just saying I'll keep getting older. There's endless things that'll slip my mind. There's no doubt I'll forget the words of this song, but I'll never forget you, my love. I'm just saying I'll keep getting older. There's endless things that'll slip my mind. There's no doubt I'll forget the words of this song. There's no doubt I'll forget the words of this song, but I'll never forget you,